I can't even be mad at him because he wasn't even looking. It was literally just like, oh, well, you didn't really ride me to it. And if I had just tapped him and just been like, okay, right, not, I guess I should say not taking it for granted. You know, like take every fence a little bit more like, 100%. Hey, I have to
ride every fence.
Because, you know, my old horse, like, I mean, he was a prelim packer and like, he didn't, this one's making me ride basically. Because that one I just, even if I didn't push up, he'd still be like, I see it, I'm going over it. And this one's like, well, if you sit there, it's not gonna, yeah. So
fair enough.
That's basically what happened, which was really my fault. So I can't be.
Otherwise,
he was great. Ocala.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday?
Friday,
Sunday?
Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're on there and then 3 lakes at the end of the month.
Okay, cool. And the training again there?
Yeah.
I need these keep trucking until it's easy.
Month. Yeah.
Right, well, my body protector's just on that thing if we want to grab it. Yes. I think just trying to keep your leg on all the time a little bit, if I'm honest, is I find is the best with the young horses, just having it kind of around them. I might just go jump something easy first. What's he like when you first start him out? Is he pretty cool with whatever? Okay. Ooh, buddy. Ooh. Good. 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 Boy. Ooh. Whoa. Boy. So I think it's interesting because he had a little bit of a look there, even at that little one. And honestly, I think if it was a little bit bigger and tougher, if you just sort of slobbed up there, not with your leg on, I think then where he's at, he's just that little bit green and he's very careful. So he kind of needs you to just be supporting him, your leg on and your core and everything all the time. When I first set off, he went a little bit like wooden into my hand. It was just a bit down there, and I was like, hey buddy, come here, just talk to me a little. So I was just kind of like moving my hands on the reins, wrap my leg around him, just be like, whoa bud, you don't need to just go, you know, because then he nearly, like when he goes to the first fence, even though it's tiny, he's a little bit like this because he's so careful, and then he feels like he's being a bit abandoned. Do you see what I mean? But I think he takes himself to that place. So you need to like just check in with him. And so I have a horse very similar to him, that Seeking Fortune horse. And when he was a young horse, when I first had him and did his first few events, he actually started stopping with me a little bit at the same kind of question. And then I realized that it was because he'd gotten quite big for his boots. He'd done a couple runs and he was taking over in what I had in his mouth and whatever. And so then I couldn't quite check in and say, now come here, and now we do this, if you see what I mean. And then once I sorted that so that I was like, we're together all the time, and then I could ride him. I mean, he did an intermediate last year, he did a few intermediates, you know, he totally changed as a horse. But when he felt he was taking over and I wasn't driving the ship, then he'd get there and he'd go, you know, and I think that's what's happening because he is so careful.
Because then, and it's hard, and that's what I said to Megan too, like it's hard because when he's on and it's there,
yes,
he can jump anything and it's great, like we can go almost up to anything, but just the minute that it's not quite connected, I can't even go over like a novice, you know what I mean, a novice size fence without kind of going like this and then flying over.
Yes.
But then when he's on, it's like I can cruise around prelim, you know, and he's just like,
yeah,
I got it and we're together, but it's really like hit or miss if it's not constantly like that.
100%, and I think you need to, you know, go around all your events thinking like, are we together, is where he needs to be at now. That he never reaches that point where he kind of gets in that wooden place, gets a bit long, gets a little bit taking over, but he's not comfortable taking over. Do you see what I mean? And then you've got to kind of say, no, no, come back here, listen to me. Do you want me to just trot off that little step into water for you and stuff? And then I'll cruise up and do the other water as well, because I think if that was our little problem, then let me just play with that and then we'll put you on. Does that sound good? And I'm just gonna trot him up to it real quiet and see what he does, because he does tend to get overbold. I practice this with them, especially when they're young. I give them all the rein in, so they learn to not jump out. Good. Boy. Ooh. Ah. Good boy. Ooh. Good boy. Oh. Good. Good. Ooh. Ooh. Good boy. Good boy. Ooh. Oh. Good. Good. Oh. Oh, buddy. Okay, so that's interesting because he definitely properly takes over sometimes. And that was good for him to just park him in there and just say, down with the blood pressure, sunshine. But I think personally I would try a slightly different bit in his mouth that he can't grab onto. Like the same sort of thing but a Waterford or something. I mean, he was like ready to take it all on like he was a badminton. So I think that's part of your problem, is that what he does when he's a big powerful horse obviously, and he's young. And he gets his blood up and he bounds over the top of something, and then he lands and he puts his head down and grabs a bit and goes, yeah. Off he goes, and you're like, wait a minute, honey, come here.
Which is like a little bit when he was doing it more back at home in Kentucky. Remember I saw that video? I'm like, he just took off, and I just was like, whoa.
Yeah. It's just young green horse, they'll change a lot. And part of it's that he does enjoy it. Yeah. But he needs to now learn that he's just got to chill out a little bit. And like, that's why I put him in quite deep over that one, just that one, so that he doesn't think you always power up to stuff. Because that's a little bit his thinking. Yeah. And I think I would do a lot of your cross-country schooling just super chill. Okay. He doesn't need to ever be galloping fast or anything, because that is in here. Like, he has got plenty of go. Yeah. He just now needs to learn, I could just come out and have a play. Okay. It's not always like pressure, pressure, pressure. Do you know what I mean? And that's why that was good for him, because the next time he was so polite to walk in the water for me, which was great. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll just stop. And he was quite happy about it, but like, I have to do that with some of my really strong ones. Like, I'd never come out here and light them up. Okay. I just come out and, yeah. And I definitely would try like a Waterford version of this. I think you'd find he's a different horse, because he won't be able to do that downward pull on you. Okay. And also the way you ride him, you got to be really conscious that you never just set in with your hand. You're always thinking, come here, come here, come here, like squeezing on the reins, check in, check in, check in. And he needs that, because when he first jumped through that line and he was like, right, I got this. Yeah. And he was off, and I was like, excuse me, come here. And then he's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, and I kind of feel like, oh, he's off, okay, should I just like... I know, and he goes very wooden in your hand when he does that, and he suddenly becomes a very gigantic horse. Yeah. So I think just teaching you how to manage that a little better will make a really big difference. I definitely would change the mouthpiece for sure. Oh, I know, I love you. You're so lovely.